All righty, guys. Welcome back to the Sleuth Intuition channel. I'm your host, Patrick Vallejos. Today, we're going to go over pretty much everything that I have on the Delphi double homicide of Abby and Libby out of Delphi, Indiana. So it's going to be a super chill. It's probably going to be pretty long. We're not going to rush anything. Some of it may be relevant. Some of it may become relevant. But it looks like the end of the case is rapidly approaching. So I feel like we might have closure this year for this case. And since we're so close, I feel like we're very close. I just want to get a lot of this information out there and on the record. A lot of it I don't talk about. A lot of it I've never presented. A lot of it, to me, still doesn't have a whole lot of meaning. It's just very random. But we're going to go over all of it. Good to see you, Hiawatha. Thank you. Appreciate that. What's up, Anthony France? Metal Mama. Good to see you. Anthony says, smoke and mirrors in public don't mean nothing. Confessions weigh heavy on jurors. And don't say this is bullshit, that they made him do it. Nope, not his wife and mom. Sorry, Sleuth. I'm rattled today. No worries. Let it out. Let's have a vent session. Yeah, and the defense, what they're doing is they've identified all of the damaging pieces of that could hurt Richard Allen. So they laid those all out on the table. They said, okay, these are the pieces that will hurt our case. And then they came up with a story that explains them all away. You know, it's a lot like these storytellers do on YouTube. Like, it's a great story, might even make a great movie, a great novel, but it doesn't mean that that's what happened. In order to know if it is, in fact, what happened, you need proof or at least evidence. So the defense, just like many YouTubers, they have a really great story, but not a whole lot of evidence. Now the prosecution, they have a not a so good story. Their story's not very good at all. And I really don't know how it would help them during an election season to say that their main suspect came forward 2 days after the crime to one of their most seasoned veteran law enforcement officials and served himself up on a silver platter right there for him. And he was overlooked, not only overlooked, the interview wasn't properly recorded, his name wasn't documented correctly, and ultimately became a lost tip. Proverbial needle in a haystack. I just don't know how that helps your political career. Unless, well, I always say, what's the best ways to find a needle in a haystack? Some say, oh, just use a large magnet or burn the haystack down. Well, I say do both. So maybe that's the part they're proud of. They're proud of how they were able to find the needle that they lost. And I think that's probably where Keegan Kline or with the Wabash River Surge and all that, however they found this needle, this lost tip narrative, and we all know it was provided during the 4th week of that Wabash River Search. So there's something to it. So whatever led to that search, and it doesn't mean Kagan Klein just because he was taken into ISP custody the same day. He might be related, or maybe they thought they can get some more information from him about what was going on. We're in Peru. We're following up a really strong tip, and we think you might have some information that could further this investigation along. Maybe he did. Maybe he didn't. What's up, Silas? What's going on, Frank? Silas says, I feel like the tide is turning, but maybe it's just as I've unsubbed to many of the wackier channels. See, the thing is I think if people just stayed away from the personal attacks, like, hey, I don't agree with you, but there's certain personalities, they say, I don't agree with you, so therefore you're an enemy of mine. You threaten my fragile ego. I mean, really, when you boil it down, it's just a bully. It's like peacock feathers. Oh my God, look, it's a 100-eyed monster. No, it's not. It's a fat bird. Kick it. Bap. What's up, Ziggy? Patricia? Jill, how are you? Tech Death, what up? CJK. Yeah, sorry about that. Good to see you, Melissa. Eminem. Shadowbox, what's up? Daily Survivor, good to see you. There's Rescue. Welcome in, guys. Ziggy, Christine, GP, Witchcraft, welcome in. My guy Farmer, what up? Saska, how are you? Levi, how are you? I'm doing well. I hope you're having a good day. And we'll get going here in just a few. What's up, Kara? Good morning to you. Christine, I really think they know much more evidence. The case will happen for justice for Abby and Libby. Anyone who has a heart would want justice. And I'm glad that there's people who are rooting for Richard Allen. I'm happy about that. I'm glad that they're donating in all of this, because when it's said and done, I don't want to hear any crying about it. And really, all I'm seeing is ignorance on display. And I'm not saying I have all the answers, but at least I have enough wisdom to admit that I'm ignorant about something. To me, I feel like that puts me one step further. Because if you have all the answers, you're not open to learning anything. So that's your first problem. I got it all figured out. Follow me, guys. Right off the cliff. Man, he was so convincing. What's up, Cindy O? Anthony says, how can they convict Ricky with no DNA? Well, Scott Peterson had the best attorney in the country. No DNA, guilty as charged. Circumstantial evidence. And I may have seen something as far as the Peterson case. I think um, they may have found her. They may have found his wife. I know her sister's out there looking. Hey, what's going on, Cheeks? You don't have to unsub to the wackier channels anymore. They're getting themselves banned. And I mean, typically that's what happens, you know? They just want attention, so they keep crossing the line. You know, I can't just be myself because nobody cares. But the truth is they're impatient. I've been doing YouTube for 2.5 years now. You know, it takes a lot of hard work. But most importantly, it just takes patience. You have to have a goal, you have to have a vision for your channel. And one of the most important things is the chat. You guys, the company that we keep. Tell me how awful it is to go into a live stream and you know, you want to give your 2 cents, a little bit of input just to be shut down. Like for real, no real reason at all. And not even from trolls, from the creator, from their mods, and from your community folks. It's so strange to me. But what it is it's just a reflection of the world around us. You know, that's why we're getting so closed off because people are so radical, sanctimonious, triggered, you know, constant victim. And they don't even really have all the information. They're just so emotional. You know, they let the emotion smother out any of the reason. And then they just open the floodgates. Let's go. Don't care about the facts, don't care about the reasoning. Logic, don't care. Emotion, take the front. Emotional infantry. What you up to, Tech? Frederica, good to see you. Oh yeah, there you go. Gaslighting and filibustering. No, my favorite is when they bring in like a defense attorney like Mata or something, and then they use his status or his title. You rip away that status, who are you? That shit don't mean nothing to me. I'll give people credit and their respect for the accomplishments and proving that they're a capable individual, but that status doesn't mean anything when you rip it away. And that'll be the first thing I do. I'll take your status right off the plate. Because I've seen people go to college for 13 years and come out stupider. Not all, but I've seen it. CJ Sleuth, will you please remind me what channel 2 is called? It's called Chan 2. Chan 2. And if you guys need to find anything, you can go to my website, sleuthintuition.com. It's under construction. It looks like shit right now. But it has all my contact information. It has all my links. Facebook, Twitter, Channel 2. But eventually you'll be able to register there as a member, and we'll be live streaming right off the website. I mean, they had nothing but circumstantial evidence. Yeah, especially if you don't have a victim, you know, that's very, very rare. And I know in most cases, if they find in a certain amount of blood, they can make the determination like, hey, this person is most likely no longer living. Not with this amount of blood, and then nobody being brought to any of the local hospitals or anybody making any phone calls to law enforcement saying, hey, we rendered aid to this person who was on death's doorstep. What's up, Levi Fletcher? Just thinking about teaching myself how to weld, but I don't even have my garage right now anyway. I have an 83 GMC pickup truck sitting in there. What's up, Bobby? Anthony says, little rattle today. Sorry, some bad shit happened. Sorry to hear that, Anthony. Hang in there, man. What's up, Caricature? Hope you're having a good day. Tony, good to see you. Scumbag supporting little Dickie Allen is a symptom of the state of the world. I agree with that. It's a good assessment. Everyone is rooting for the bad guy now, and the good has become evil. Disgusting. And it's like they don't even care. They're like, I don't care if I'm wrong. I'll tell you right now I'm wrong, and I'll still come and convince you. I call it getting off. They get off on that shit. It's really strange. They're fascists and they don't even realize it. They sense they're all of your comments thinking they're doing something right because they disagree. I don't even know if they care anymore. I feel like they're just so outraged that YouTube has become like a home for them. It's an outrage home. It's like watching Hitler when he was talking to the Nazis. They were like, yeah, I agree with this guy. There was nobody there to block him. Like, bro, get out of here. You guys are all crazy. But no, they were able to group together and be outraged. Oh my God, this guy's saying what I'm thinking. Farmer, yeah, it does. But as much as people blame these so called creators, it takes viewers to make it full circle. What's weird is a lot of times the viewers are the creator there. But it's okay. I think you should have both sides of the coin. But I just want everybody to know that's exactly what happened. The defense team laid down on the table all of their concerns and all of the things that could hurt them before they even discussed this Odinism stuff, before they discussed anything. They came up with a great story to explain his confessions, to explain everything. And it all ties together, right? Why did he confess? Well, the same people who are part of the gang that killed the girls threatened him to confess. Like, do you really believe that? Without any real proof or any real evidence, you're just buying that. And then folks are going to listen to defense attorneys who tell them right up front. And you can't hate on them for that. They're saying right up front, I am team defense. So that means they're just basically coming at us with the same philosophy that the defense is coming at the court with. Some crazy story with really, no substance to it. It's almost like feeding off of the emotional folks in the world. You say trigger words and then they get outraged. And outraged people are really good at recruiting other outraged triggered types, right? Because then they go into these triggered echo chambers and they start saying, "Did you hear this? Did you hear that? What?" And it's contagious. Now you got the whole jar of nuts shaking, and all you hear is outrage, outrage. Well, hasn't Mata done that through being a defense attorney, his credentials? But see, the difference between me and most is I expect him to do that. And I expect Richard Allen's defense team to do what they're doing. The part that is really confusing to me is watching folks just jump at it. Like, yeah. And they latch on. And then they say, well, that's what you were doing with the prosecution probable cause affidavit. Well, that information has already been shown to a judge to be enough to detain Richard Allen and then to put him on trial for murder. It's not like they just put out some random theory and then we all started calling it fact. Hey, what's up, Brad from outside of the grid? Tony N. Can't stand Bob Mata guy is a total scrub. I like Bob because he's doing what I expect him to do, right? And he's doing it well. He's being informative. He's giving his perspective, but I expect him to be on that team. He's supporting a team that is supporting his team. You know, enemy of my enemy. Sparky says, "Don't you think if they had evidence that Richard Allen was innocent, that it would be all over the place?" Well, if you want to talk, if you were talking to the fringe, they would say, "Well, they have." They would actually call that evidence. To me, circumstantial evidence would be proving that any of these other suspects were at the trail, not at the crime scene. You didn't find their bullet. You didn't find their DNA. I mean, just put them at the trail that day at any point in time. And I'm not talking about some leaked Frank's memo that says some girlfriend said this. Because we know the same thing happened with, I believe it was Dave Maxwell, one of the Maxwells, right? Was over at the Marathon gas station. And he was kind of dressed like the bridge guy. And there was blood apparently all over the back of his truck. And that may have been why they searched his home and where we get the Marathon gas station information from. Well, come to find out, apparently he was out hunting or something. Right? So covered in blood. And what if it was paint? That's what I'm saying. You have to test the blood. You have to do all these things. Just because somebody's like, oh my gosh, they were out in Delphi when they came back. The car was covered in blood. There could have been maybe a red substance there. I don't know. What was it? Throw up? Spilt slushy? Don't know because they didn't test it. But nope, we're going to take it as fact. They had a bloody car and it was used in the murder. Okay. Even though nobody saw a bloody car, there was a private drive, though. So your mind just starts to wander. Fits the pieces in. Kind of like they did in Jurassic Park with the DNA. They used, I think, frog DNA. They just, we'll just fill in these holes. Yep, there you have it. Velociraptor, kind of. Hey, good to see you, Candace. Anna, how are you? Yeah, exactly, Anna. Hey, Charlotte. What's up, Augie? I'm glad you did too. Welcome in. Anna says we do not have all the information on the Delphi crime. The only reasonable position is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Yeah, innocent until proven guilty with enough evidence to hold. So they got enough to hold him, and then they're going to see if they can prove that he's guilty in a court of law. So nobody's saying he's innocent or guilty, right? Right now, we're just kind of like, oh, this is my opinion. But there are folks that are literally saying that Richard Allen is innocent. And then they actually give their reasons. And all the reasons are things that the defense attorney has put out to the public without proving. That's their facts. It's very interesting. I just don't feel like all sides deserve equal time. It ruined network and cable news, in my opinion. People screaming over each other. Why does it bad info over false narrative get any time? It's because outrage junkies are good at recruiting. If you have one outrage junkie, you now have three. And if you have three outrage junkies, you now have six. It's like the damn plague. It's an outrage plague. And they won't challenge each other either. That's another problem. Because they're so happy that they find like-minded folks, they just click together. They're stronger. It's like a prison gang. You may not have been a racist person before you went in, but now you came out part of a prison gang. A lot of people approach YouTube that way. We stick together for survival. That was Blood in, Blood Out, by the way. Oh, yeah, the Casey Anthony case. I have never been so shocked at a verdict. Yeah, it's true. I think that's basically, I think you just described depression, Charlotte. Charlotte says that's very similar to how the brain works. It's quite lazy, really. If you have a bad thought, it attracts a similar thought. Easy for the brain to process. That is depression. Constantly complaining. That's all you're thinking about. Oh, my life is this, my life is bad, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's because you won't shut up about it. You just keep, constant victimizing yourself. This happened to me. This is so bad. Why isn't this going good? Blah, 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 blah. Well, the very reason is the question. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Sparky, I'm only watching this channel from now on. Too many people acting like they are somebody they aren't. Yeah, pull away somebody's title and ask them a real question. What are they going to say? Oh, look at my wall. Look at my doctorate. That proves that I'm right. Oh, yeah? Yes, I spent 13 years in college. I memorized the dictionary. Anna says it is looking to me that others were directly involved in the crime. In my opinion, it's possible Richard Allen will be acquitted, innocent or guilty, due to confusion and incomplete facts. Based on what, Anna? I feel like you're a little distracted by all the defense information they've been putting out. Prosecution's going to wipe that right off the table. All you're going to be left with is meat, the meat that's left. It's all fat from the defense. So it's like the 12 monkeys. The defense created a mind virus and then they injected it into the outrage junkies. And right now it's just spreading because they're stuck in an echo chamber anyway. They're just infecting each other with it. Isn't it obvious? What's up, Paul? The Odinism isn't some story the D has come up with. Oh, it isn't? Law enforcement actually believe. Oh. Officers are literally Odinists. Prove it wrong, but don't pretend it's make believe. Okay, Paul. Odinists threaten Richard Allen to confess. Another outraged junkie comes to spread the virus. Sorry, buddy. We're immune. His perspective is fine. His condescending attitude wouldn't fly on the street. Am I right? I don't know. I wouldn't underestimate anybody. And I wouldn't overestimate anybody either. I can, Grunge. Anna says if Ruckus is right, the south end of the bridge and private land is also involved in the crime. What do you mean if Ruckus is right? That part is obvious. They were kidnapped from the bridge in the south end. That's where the kidnapping took place. It's part of the crime scene. There may have even been an assault there. And I believe there was. I don't think it was the gun that got their attention. It got their attention, but it wasn't until one of them was hit, I believe, that they weren't able to get down that hill. The Midnight Rider. The fact that the reward was so large so quickly brought a lot of highly questionable people out with their wild stories that led nowhere, looking for a quick check. Yeah, I do remember there being talk of folks, YouTubers saying, "Oh, I'm here for the reward." But I wanted to do a live stream on folks who actually collected, rewards from tipping criminals in or whatnot, suspects in. I really couldn't find any. I feel like they're able to explain or reason away. Law enforcement is so anxious to take credit that sometimes they have to take that away from tipsters or through like some kind of technicality. But if you find any cases where people tipped in somebody and they received the reward, I would like to see it. Doesn't seem to happen very often unless people are just not, out talking about it. What's up, Beth? So many pieces to this case and so much has been withheld for trial as it should be, in my opinion. I can't wait to find out why to all of this. Thanks, Sleuth. I appreciate your hard work. Thank you. And remember, it was the prosecution that wanted to keep a lot of this information sealed. They said that they believe others are involved. So if they have any information or new discovery that has been provided to the defense, they're not going to broadcast it. And either is the defense. If it's damning information for their client, they're not going to talk about it either. They're going to talk about all the stuff that keeps you occupied and looking away from their client. That's the biggest component of their theory. Look over here, not over here. They know the power of the online sleuth. They're not stupid. So instead of having it used against them, they're utilizing it. Very smart. So the folks who are eating the cheese, they'll have to answer for that. I mean, I don't mind poking at it and kind of looking at the mousetrap above my head. But I ain't pulling that cheese unless I can figure out a way to, use a stick or something and get it off of there. But these folks are full blown eating the cheese, not even worried about what's going to come snapping down on their neck. Tech Death says the original people like us think he's guilty. That's a good point. Non-Delphi case watchers think non-guilty because of the defense. When you leave Delphi YouTube, it's shocking. That is a good point. And I don't know if it's because we're biased or if because we have more information, we have more of an understanding, right? We can see the foundation of the case. All they got is the roof. Really, not even the roof, just the tiles that were laid over the top so that you couldn't see anything inside. That's the defense. And a lot of people weren't even interested in the Delphi case until Richard Allen was arrested. I've been looking into this case since probably September of 2017. Yeah, physical fights too. It's really strange. Also, you have people drawing phalluses while talking about two dead children. I find that uncomfortable. Putting it on the screen doesn't seem appropriate. Kara, defense daddies equals maybe starting to backfire as they attract the jar of nuts. No, it's not backfiring. I mean, there was no gas to begin with, so nothing's going to fire. It's not going to turn over. There's no gas in there. There's sugar in the tank. That's it. So instead of walking away from the car, people are still trying to get it going. And that's what the defense wanted. They wanted the outrage junkies to go ahead and spread the mind virus. Why? Most likely to pollute a jury pool. Maybe they're playing 4D chess. They already see this as a lost case and they plan to appeal successfully. But the truth is, they may not make it through a trial. I personally don't believe that they're going to a trial. They're picking apart the investigation right now, looking for a technicality. But when the sand falls through the hourglass, and that last little grain of sand hits, dink. The defense won't even have to ask. Nick McClelland will walk in there and give them the deal. This is what we're going to give you in exchange for this. Richard Allen's going to say, okay, no trial, end of the story, and we may not know a whole lot. What's up, Kane B? All of those saying Allen is innocent have no proof who their killer is. Yeah, I mean, we don't really have any proof that Richard Allen is the killer, but what we do have is a whole lot of circumstantial information. One very important part of that being him being able to prove that he was on the trail. That's huge. So he looks like the suspect. Can even argue possibly um, Ron Logan looks like the suspect. My opinion, he doesn't. People say he's too tall. Reality, he really wasn't that tall. Um, but just the fact that he was there, the witnesses basically pointing out this Duval character who could be Richard Allen's brother, they're going to point right at him in that courtroom. I guarantee it. Sleuth, have you had information given you cannot mention? Just interested. Not really. Not that wasn't recently exposed right on camera on somebody's YouTube live stream. Every investigator that I talked to that had seen the crime scene photos, and I still have not seen those crime scene photos. The closest I've got was being forced to by looking at a live stream. And I'm not saying it's that big of a deal, right? But all of the investigators and the professionals that I talked to says there was a very important key piece of information that not a whole lot of people were talking about, which they felt was the reason that you can't be spreading these photos around. There was a very small piece of information that only the killer would know and could explain. And it pretty much tells a big part of what really happened. That's the way it was told to me. And I was just at, and I was, it was explained to me why it's important not to discuss it. What's up, Stephen Elliott? Most evidence is circumstantial, even DNA. Yeah, that's true. And not direct evidence. It requires an inference as to its meaning and importance as evidence. I'll agree with that. CJK, if Allen is found not guilty, who else is there to hold accountable? He's the guy. No one else has been arrested for the murders. That doesn't mean he's the guy. All it means is that they have enough to hold him. You know, they're basically saying, hey, dude, we have enough to hold you. And this prosecutor says he can prove that you did this. If I let you out, you're going to hurt yourself or you're going to flee the country or you might do something crazy. Now, if he was an innocent man, he would have gone to trial within 70 days of his arrest or as soon as possible, right? But here we are. If Richard Allen is convicted with solid evidence against him, can an appeal be denied? It could be, but I feel like all the chaos that the defense is creating is try to ensure that that won't happen. I feel like they might be banking on the appeal. And all of this is just to create a bunch of chaos and ammunition for the next judge. Like, look, this is what happened. Look at all of this craziness. Judge Gold did this and prosecutor did this. Look at what happened to us. Right? Leaving this huge paper trail, uh, huge pile of victimhood. We were abused during this process. We demand an appeal. Augie says, I try to stay open minded until I see all the evidence, but I have always thought this was done by more than one person. I mean, it is possible. We don't know if Richard Allen was already back on the South End. I don't think that he was, but it is possible that he was underneath the bridge, him and another man. Maybe they were just hanging out, doing drugs. Maybe it was a woman. Richard Allen comes up, back up on the South End, passes them, turns around, forces them down the hill. And then when they get down the hill, there's a second man there attacking them. I mean, we really don't know that. Here comes the sun. Welcome in. I don't know if Richard Allen is innocent, but this case is messy. I really feel like it's not messy. I feel like it's dusty. That's how I feel. I feel like somebody stuck their hand and shook up the mud, and now we can't really see through the water. But really, the water's clean. There's just a bunch of sand in it right now. But when it all settles, boom, see, it's really not that hard. The hard part, I think, more is the reason why and if it was premeditated. Those are the reasons and the things that will lead to another suspect if somebody's involved, in my opinion. The why. Because from my understanding, his confession was that it was sexually motivated. It was a sexually motivated crime. And that he was successful in that aspect, and he killed them to keep them quiet. That's my understanding of what was told during his confession. Knockface says, I have a concern that Richard Allen will be convicted of the crimes, but due to the legal circus of the case, I'm afraid the conviction may be overturned. Well, once again, that's just the defense being successful in their campaign. They're creating an illusion of a circus. They set up the tent, and you're not allowed to look in there, right? And you ask yourself, well, why are all the acrobats outside of the tent? Why are they bringing the lion outside? Why is the trained bear outside of the tent? Why are we not inside the tent? Because inside the tent, it's hollow. There's nothing in there. There's a group of unhinged lunatics with some petition being passed around to free Richard Allen. That's it. There's nothing in there. Then you got a few defense attorneys trying to get their face on the camera, somewhere in the background. But there's nothing in there. There's no show. There's no stage. It's just the tent. And then the appearance that there's a circus going on, but there's not. It's like the Wizard of Oz. When Toto goes back there and pulls the curtain back, and you got some ugly mofo back there pulling levers and talking into a microphone. That's Richard Allen. It's been him since the beginning. The great and powerful Oz. Original badass. I believe it's Richard Allen on the bridge. It is interesting to me they released guys down the hill. Could that be telling that there were guys down that hill? Makes sense. That's a good way to put it. We live in the real world, not YouTube world. That's why we believe Richard Allen is guilty. Yeah, it's almost like they do live in that chat. Like whenever I feel like, hey, I'm gonna go check out, I'm gonna cruise the YouTube streets. It's the same people. It's the same group of like 15. It's like, dude, how are you in every single live stream? Okay. So let's dive into some of this information I got here. Like I said, some of it's just going to be super random, and we can talk about whatever throughout the process. This is the 4chan folder. Now, this is old stuff, and they talk about the Delphi case and the name Richard. So we're just going to go through all this stuff pretty quick. So 4chan is a simple image-based bulletin board where anyone can post comments and share images. There are boards dedicated to a variety of topics from Japanese animation and culture to video games, music, photography. Users do not need to register an account before participating in the community. Feel free to click on a board below that interests you and jump right in. Okay, so let's take a look here. So this was something commented on the Delphi case. What you all fail to interpret about small town civics is the manner in which fall into each other in a public square. One cannot find happiness or fortitude with a simple game and keep their daughter safe from such predators. This man will get away with everything. I didn't want to come out and say it, but sorry, I lived in Delphi for years, and without a doubt, Richard is not well known in the town. This was published February 23rd, 2020. Richard is not well known in the town. I have been monitoring the thread. City dwellers do not understand how such a place works or local police kinship without community dealings unto itself and more. Please do not ask me why the simple man rules outward. Yeah, T. Sidebar. The gag order and no cameras feeds the wackos. Wish Skull would reverse cameras in the courtroom ruling. I don't know if she said no to cameras. She's just said no to those requests. And I know she did that in the past before she actually did let the cameras in. Okay, so somebody responds, tell us more about Richard. 23rd February 2020, way before he was ever mentioned. And then they try to switch it up. No, I meant to say richly. There isn't any Richard. He had nothing to do with it. Let's not pretend the police aren't aware. Like, what is that? Here's another comment. I'd honestly not be surprised if people were covering it up. Indiana seems like one of the more fucked up flyover states. There isn't any Richard. He had nothing to do with it. Looks like this is from the same day. How haven't they found this guy yet? They had a fairly incriminating photo, more than you would get from most killers, and the town isn't big. Everyone in the town knows who it is, but we don't report him because he keeps time into specifics. Would you tell your dad if you found a mistaken photo of a juvenile? No. Welcome in, sidebar, Melissa Balboa. Good to see you. Yeah, it could be after the fact, the Saint. Maybe somebody helped cover it up. Welcome in, Dawn. Good to see you. Christine says this is a relaxing those war of the YouTubers. It is hard to trust any of them. They are ruthless. I would be ashamed of myself. They have. Oh, they're not ashamed. They've allowed themselves to be convinced, which is dangerous. He had no social media presence. Dude is a ghost. Somebody asks, because he keeps time into specifics, what did he mean by this? And they answer, he's father time. If he gets locked up, we'll all start moving back in time. Which is kind of true. Very strange. And it says here again, just because there was a video of Richard on the train tracks, remember this is February 23rd, 2020, doesn't mean he did it. The cops are smart enough to know this and have probably interrogated him already. It was a dead end. Either that or he has connections. It was probably someone from out of town. Who knows, though? What's up, Periwinkle? I think the defense is taking this all the way. They're too arrogant not to. I don't think so. The reason that they're so arrogant, they will not put this on display. They never intended to. They said that's not the way. we can win this, but not that way. Okay, same day. Says first for Richard. Like, what the hell is this? You think it could be Richard Allen? Let's see here. Maybe, just maybe, these threads don't need an eternal general where the same shit gets talked over for eternity. And again here, there was never any proof that Richard did it. Just because they took a video of him. I don't know what that means. Seriously though, just because he is mentally handicapped doesn't mean he is capable of brutal murder. Crazy. Somebody's freaking out over here. Who the fuck is Richard? It's a good question. Richard definitely did it. Just because he's mentally disabled means nothing. Why else was he hanging out there? The cops know he didn't, but have not been able to build enough evidence on him. See, this is very strange. It looks like they're struggling. Like they might be drunk or something and spell check is pissing them off. The cops knew he did it. Meant to say, damn it. The cops know he did it. Like, damn it. It's like when you try to fix it, just keep making it worse. Same day. The real red pill about Richard is that he comes from a very wealthy, influential family. Don't know if that's true. That's why the cops won't charge him and have to keep pretending they don't know who did it. They won't even admit that they know who the guy in the video is. Richard didn't get rid of the bodies. Why would you? The guy in the picture is Richard, a local who was near the scene but was not the killer, most likely. See, they knew he was the bridge guy. They knew it. Okay. Next folder 2019 380 found in the Wabash River just behind Kagan Klein's home. So we didn't know what kind of gun was involved. So we did find this information interesting. Like I said, this I'm not saying any of this information means anything. I'm just going over all of it or a lot of it while we have time. Kara says, Sleuth, are you a poet? You know it. Sorry. That was bad. T, those YouTubers should be punished. We should kill them. No, we should ignore them. This defense don't give a shit about Richard Allen. They see big dollars win or lose regarding this case. Yeah, and I don't blame them. I honestly don't, guys. I do not blame them. I only blame those who are eating it up like cheesecake. You know, I expect them to do what they're doing, which is a good job at defending their client. Kudos to them. It's the others that are getting knocked off their bike with a small gust of wind and then trying to say they got hit by a tornado. Get to the cellar. And it's like one of those rotating fans that you put in the garage or in a small room. Little oscillating fan. Trampling each other. When really all you got to do is unplug it. Fixed it, guys. And that's what's going to happen pretty soon, I think. So this one was titled Loaded Handgun Found Along a Wabash River During Cleanup Event. Now, the reason we found this very interesting, we were more focused in on what was going on with the Anthony shots at Keegan Klein at the time. He said, I think I blew my eardrum out shooting my gun. This was 2013. My 380 is too loud. My ears are still ringing after 1 hour. Police say volunteers found a loaded handgun Saturday near the bank of the Wabash River during an event to clean up the waterway. Peru Police Chief Mike Meeks said the 380 caliber gun was found on the 200 block of East Riverside Drive near the Peru Civic Center during the city's annual Detrash the Wabash event. He said the volunteer who found the gun first called Peru Utilities, which oversees the cleanup, and the utility company then called police. Credit to them and credit to Peru Utilities for calling us first so we could process the scene, Meek said. Officers discovered the gun was loaded and had another bullet in the chamber. Damn. However, the firearm appeared weathered and worn, indicating it had been laying there for more than some time, Meek said. First thing I thought of with the bullets and all that is that it probably fell out of a kayaker's holster. That was my first thought. But the crazy thing about it is you have this is the home of Keegan Klein. This is the location that they said it was near. So basically, between his home and the Civic Center, they found this 380. So basically, you could walk into his backyard, give a nice overhand throw, and right basically within throwing distance is where the gun was located. So we thought that that was interesting. So the Peru Civic Center here. This is the Canal Street address, and the gun was found like right here. Does it mean anything? Most likely no. Okay. This is Rosie and Aki. It's a small folder. So remember, Andrew over here on the right, this was Ron Logan's attorney. Now, the reason they can't go after Ron Logan is because look who his partner is. So technically, Rosie was representing Ron Logan. Everybody asks, well, why doesn't he go after Ron Logan? Well, he can't. It would be a conflict of interest. That's why he needs the YouTubers to do it. Here's another one. Keegan Klein's lawyer, too, I believe, wasn't he? Conflict of interest. Sorry to hear that, Miss Dog Lover. Yeah, that was awful, the Saint. And we know Becky didn't enjoy it because that very morning she posted a very beautiful picture of Libby and saying, this is how she should be remembered. Okay. Now, one of the interesting things that hackers found on Keegan Klein's phone once they gained access, and I'm not here to accuse anybody because I have no clue, but this person was communicating with Keegan. Not sure. What about? So somebody was reaching out to this person on Keegan Klein's behalf and says, "Good morning. Did you write Keegan Klein a letter? If so, he wanted me to tell you he got it and his texting chirp number is," and then they provide the chirp number there. This person says, "Okay, thank you, my dear." So they obviously know Keegan Klein. But what is his connection with them? This person responds, "I am sorry to bother you. Who are you? And how come he can't text And how come he can text in jail? So they seem concerned about that. I am sorry to ask, but I am confused with this. That is all. Thank you. So now they're fishing for information. I'm someone who wrote him a note about a month ago. He has a device where he can send and receive messages in jail. He asked me the other day to give you his number, so I did. It surprised me too that he was able to send and receive messages as well. But I don't know anyone who's been in jail or how any of that works. Did you write him a letter? This person says, yes, I did. Morning. Sorry, just now saw your message. I did, and don't get me wrong, but anyone can be behind that number. But it's okay if he doesn't want to write. It's fine. I am not big on messaging. Thank you. Yes, I understand that. I was confused and leery myself, but I'm nosy and wanted to know more about Delphi to get his side of it. I'm sure he will write you back. I think he was just wanting to give you the option to message as well. You're welcome. Have a great day. You too, my dear. So, not sure what any of that is. Looks like a Russian name. Hey, good to see you, Willow. Diamonds, what's up? The Midnight Rider. Key holder for the Delphi Reward Fund, and Indiana Attorney General Todd Rokita wants to see it paid out. Yeah, there is. He does publicly state and makes it sound as if somebody will be receiving that. So that would be interesting to see that go into somebody's hands. Gail says, I believe he is guilty, no bond. I am from Carroll County. The police could have pinned it on an easier suspect. Many bad men in the area. What's up, Pepper? A couple times I've wondered myself. Yeah, it really is. It's an echo chamber. Okay, let's look at the strange case of Allison Jones. Now, Allison was somebody, she was one of these outrage junkies, right? She was in all of the chats. She was watching all of the channels. She even called into a well known true crime channel who happened to be doing a live stream on Delphi at the moment. Well, this woman became unstable, suffering from some mental health issues, believed that her husband was the Delphi killer, was the bridge guy. Now, she killed her own son to spare him from the wrath of the bridge guy. So she killed her son and attempted to kill her husband.
County, a 7-year-old boy shot to death in his bedroom. And tonight, his mother is in jail, charged with murder. Investigators say it was the woman's husband, the boy's father, who called 911 early this morning. John Chiric is on that story for us tonight.
Investigators continued to work inside this home into the night, gathering evidence where a 7-year-old boy was shot to death by, they say, his own mother.
He was in a bedroom in the house.
His bedroom?
Yes, sir.
Chief Deputy Keith Howard with the Morgan County Sheriff's Office says investigators have charged 36-year-old Allison Jones with killing her 7-year-old son, Maddox, and they're also
up,
charging
V?
her with shooting at her husband, Maddox's father, Douglas Jones, firing several rounds from a handgun. Doug Jones called 911 at about 7 a.m.
Well, he was calling to report that his son had been shot.
Howard says deputies arrested Allison Jones at the home without incident, interviewed both parents to try to figure out what led up to the shooting.
We had no prior calls to service here that we could tell domestic related, but the information we were provided right now between the husband and the wife, that's what we're vetting through to see if the crime scene matches their statements.
It's a total shock.
Liz Marchant is the president of the Riverwalk at Appalachia Homeowners Association. Each home in this subdivision, about 70 miles east of Atlanta, sits on more than...
And you still have folks saying, well, maybe he was the bridge guy. Okay, well, why would she kill her son? So you totally forget the fact that she murdered her own son, which is a clear indication that she's suffering from mental illness. But yet you have some folks that will completely ignore that and go directly to, well, what does he look like? Does he match the description?
5 acres. Morgan County records show Doug Jones bought the home in 2015. Nice neighbors, Marchant says.
We are all just devastated for this family, and it's truly just heartbreaking.
The GBI will conduct an autopsy and ballistics tests. The mother remains in the Morgan County Detention Center. Investigators are asking anyone with any information that can help to call them.
So another very, very strange case relating to Delphi and the mental health that surrounds it. These are the viewers. These are the people who are watching these other channels. It's a beautiful home. Maddox. For no reason. Yeah, exactly the same. Always knew it was a local guy. Outsider wouldn't even know about this trail in the first place. I mean, we profiled the guy, at least the bridge guy, pretty good. You know, why Delphi? Why the High Bridge? Why Abby and Libby? Well, now we know, right? And I think we're going to learn a lot more about it. I still think there was some kind of an inappropriate relationship going on between one of the girls. Now, I don't know if Richard Allen was hired to silence them or if he was the other half of that relationship. I'm not quite sure. Hey, what's up, Don? Good to see you. And what are you up to, Don? Oh, that reminds me. The saying is saying, I cannot imagine what Richard Allen's wife is thinking. I heard a rumor the other day. Now, I haven't been able to verify this. Maybe you guys can help me do that now. That she checked in to Libby's memorial or her funeral service under her maiden name. Now, I can't remember where I heard that. But it was one of those pieces of information where I was like, I'll believe it when I see it. So I thought I'd ask you guys about it. Yeah, it's true. Sidebar. Okay, let me catch up on chat and then we'll keep going. It's good to see you, V. Hope you're having a good day. Yeah, I don't think the trial's coming, Frederica. What's up, Richard? Some crazy moments. The video proves BG kidnapped the girls under Indiana law and his specific charges. If Alan is bridge guy, he's automatically receiving 2 murder charges. And I think that's what just happened. I mean, and I think there was a question about his DNA. We really wouldn't have that answer, right? Until after the search warrant. And they don't have to put that in the PCA. Especially if it was found after the fact. Not a supporting factor. And if they did find any matches on his DNA where they can't exclude him, well, they'll say, well, we know that it's a relative of yours. That's also very damning. And the defense won't talk about that. What's up, Budward Bowen? Self-righteous channels I unsubscribe from. Let's be happy with this good channel. Thank you, bud. Ann says, gosh, whoever wrote that 4chan stuff has enough skills to be hired by the defense as a creative writer. Hey, I'm not one to talk. You're great. A lot of you guys are really good at writing. Then we have the B. Phillips sketch. Oh, let me remove this border here. Okay, now this was famous by a journalist by the name of Joe Paul. He might be out of Indiana too, or Kentucky, one of the two. This was something he posted to Twitter. A prisoner sent me the sketch today of the prime suspect in the deaths of 2 Delphi teenagers. Signed it, B. Phillips, 2/24/17. So just about a week after they released the 2 images from Libby's video. What's up, Brian? How long did Carroll County have this case before Indiana State Police stepped in? Think about it. 2.5 years? I don't think so. I think Carroll County has always had the case, right? Hey, Timmy. So B. Phillips. So we did some investigating on this. We did find some interesting things. And notice he put him in flames. Some people think that's tied to the Flora fires. So you can see he's basically drawing what he sees in that image. So he has this looking like more like a fanny pack or something. Not quite sure. Maybe the bottom of a jacket. And the other jacket coming over the top of it. But one of the things he puts in here very clearly is a cell phone holder. Like, I mean, that thing is clear as day. How does he know that? And when you really look at it, you can kind of see this there. It almost looks like a cell phone holder. So I thought that was very strange. Frederica says, I heard that Richard Allen's parents bought that house for him with cash. Well, all the people that I've talked to, my sources from Mexico, Indiana, and Peru that knew him, like I know a guy, I've spoken with a guy multiple times that rode with Richard Allen all the way from middle school until they left high school. They lived next to each other and they rode to school together. And he told me that Richard Allen is the quietest guy by far that he has ever met. So that tells me he's just in his head. Everything is internalized. Not sure, Candace. Frederica's saying it could have been perceived that way. Or something we haven't discovered yet. Sparky, I don't like cheesecake. Welcome in, Laura. Yep, that's 100% true. That's what this person also told me. I think it was his adopted father. So when people say he was adopted, I think that's what they mean. He was adopted. He always had his mother, but he was adopted by his stepdad, who was also a principal in New Mexico. Or not New Mexico, in Mexico, Indiana. What's up, Motive? Andy Garth. Andy says, I enjoy a lot of different creators, but never judge them. Well, you shouldn't judge anybody. Discernment and judgment are two different things, my friend. Oh, really? It has been said that Richard Allen's parents bought the Delphi house after Richard Allen was arrested. That was a very fast sell of the house and not a lot of notoriety. This scenario could make sense. I don't know. I mean, it was a ranch. That was a beautiful home, beautiful lot, beautiful neighborhood. I mean, I don't see any reason that home wouldn't go quickly. Hey, good to see you, Julia. Jesse Stoss, welcome in. Some Delphi residents had to have suspected Richard Allen. I don't know. I feel like Richard Allen might be smarter than people give him credit for. Might be a little more capable than they give him credit for. But he's able to play on that when he needs to. Like when he came and spoke with Doolin, I'm assuming he had his Bill Cosby sweater on. Maybe even brought his daughter along. You know, kind of like Gary Ridgway. He would show his, he would open his wallet to his victims and show pictures of his wife and kid who were very real. And this would lower their guards. Okay, so we actually looked at who this Brian Phillips is, and we found somebody who was related to Delphi, and specifically Delphi, and February 13th, 2017. So let's read this here about Brian Phillips, 47, out of Lafayette. Lafayette police have arrested a man in Carroll County law enforcement believes is connected to a recent bomb threat made at Indiana Packers. We all know Indiana Packers is there in Delphi. Police were called to the meatpacking plant May 9th when an anonymous bomb threat was made there. So there was two threats, one shortly before and one shortly after the murders. May 9th, when an anonymous bomb threat was made there, investigators found no evidence of explosives after a thorough search of the plant. Brian Phillips, 47, of Lafayette, was arrested early Friday, May 20th, and I believe this is 2016 at the time, on a Carroll County Superior Court arrest warrant alleging 2 counts of false reporting, level 6 felonies, in connection with the bomb threat. According to a press release from the Carroll County Sheriff's Office, he was taken into custody at his residence by Lafayette police and jailed in the Tippecanoe County Jail. He has been charged with 2 counts of false reporting, level 6 felonies. His bond was set at $5,000 cash. Phillips was also detained in regard to a writ of attachment issued from Tippecanoe Superior Court 4 on an unrelated matter there. Carroll County Sheriff Tobe Lesenby expects Phillips will be transferred to Carroll County custody earlier next week for an initial hearing in the case. Phillip was employed by Indiana Packers at the time of the threat was made, Lesenby said. He was terminated that day, not necessarily from the aspect that he was a suspect that day, Lesenby said. He was actually late to work that day. He apparently had enough points accumulated. So he called in the bomb threat so that he wouldn't get fired. Police haven't determined for certain what the motive for the bomb threat was, Lesenby said. He speculated the bomb threat may have been made in an attempt at a distraction from the man's late arrival. The threats came by phone to Indiana Packers in Carroll County 911 on May 9th. The caller threatened to deliver bombs to the pork processing facility. Employees in Indiana Packers were evacuated for nearly 3 hours while police checked the facility over. Carroll County Sheriff Detectives Kevin Hammond and Tony Leggett followed up on the phone records and Lafayette Police Department dispatch recordings to narrow the search to Phillips. According to the sheriff's press release, information was filed with the Carroll County Prosecutor's Office leading to the criminal charges against Phillips. Indiana Packers spokesperson Jeff Fierick deferred comments in the case to Lesenby. An arrest has been made in the alleged bomb threats to Indiana Packers Corporation IPC on May 9th. Brian Phillips, 47, Lafayette, was arrested on a Carroll Superior Court arrest warrant He was taken into custody at his Lafayette residence by Lafayette police early Friday, May 20th, and jailed in the Tippecanoe County Jail. He was charged with 2 counts of false reporting as level 6 felonies. Phillips' bond was affixed in the amount of $5,000 cash. Phillips was also detained in regard to a writ of attachment. Okay, I think there's more information in this one. Okay, more of the same. Now, I believe this is the one. Okay, here we go. So the second bomb threat was February 22nd, 2017. Now that's not very far after the murders there. Production at Indiana Packers Corp in Delphi was interrupted Wednesday afternoon after the company's employment office in Lafayette received a bomb threat. Carroll County Sheriff's deputies were called to the meatpacking plant at 1:10 p.m. February 22nd on a report of a threat that had been phoned in to an office in Lafayette, in which the caller threatened of 2 bombs, according to police. Now, at the time, a lot of folks thought that this was just a cover, that law enforcement was actually going in there to recover evidence pertaining to the Delphi murders. And I believe that ended up being true. And we'll look at that here in just a second. Carroll Sheriff Tobe Lesenby said police remained at the scene until shortly after 4 p.m., helping Indiana Packers management and other law enforcement search the plant. The search turned up nothing, Lesenby said. I think somebody must have thought we had a bunch of downtime, Lesenby said, in just as police activity at the plant wound down. He clarified that the activity was unrelated to law enforcement's ongoing investigation into the murders of 2 teenage Delphi girls. Carroll County deputies are working with the state police and the FBI on the double homicide case. The agencies had held a press conference Wednesday morning regarding the homicides. However, Lesenby said the police presence at Indiana Packers was totally unrelated to the homicide investigation. Sheriff's deputies were joined by Lafayette Police and Howard County Sheriff's deputies, Lesenby said. A spokesperson for Indiana Packers did not immediately return a voicemail. The threat was Indiana Packers' second in less than a year. In May of 2016, police were called to the plant after another anonymous bomb threat. An employee of Indiana Packers was later arrested and charged in connection with that threat. Brian Phillips of Lafayette is scheduled to face a jury trial this May on felony charges stemming from 2016 threat police say he made, court records indicate.
And you can hear that determination in the Indiana State Police officers' voices.
So later we did determine they took evidence out of this locker that does relate to Delphi. That's Tony Leggett there. He's taking out boots and what appeared to be a hat.
They're going to do whatever it takes to find the person that took these girls' lives. And
so you can see boots and what looked to be some kind of a head covering. Yeah, we know there was footprints at the crime scene.
Through hundreds of tips they're getting on the case, they're also still combing Delphi for evidence. What you're looking at right now is exclusive video of an officer carrying in a pair of men's dark-colored boots. Those were analyzed by investigators inside of the police headquarters here in Delphi. Right now, officials tell me they were checking out those boots to see if they were a big piece of evidence. Right now, they don't know exactly what that part.
Okay, so why would you take boots during a bomb threat? Here's B. Phillips. This was his public Facebook. Another connection to Keegan Kline, possibly Las Vegas. I doubt it. Of course, he's probably not connected at all. But that's him. But one strange thing here, he had, for his bomb threat situation that was going on in 2016, check this out. He had a court date in Delphi at 9 a.m. 2/13/2017, and it was canceled. So what are you doing with the rest of your day, buddy? And look at the day it was canceled. Short notice. Let's go to these super chats. Thank you so much, Miss Dog Lover. Who drew that sketch, Sleuth? Somebody by the name of B. Phillips. Did he make a bomb threat from jail? Possibly. Maybe a burner phone. The connection to the fluorifiers? I'm not sure. All I know is that there's flames here. But I know that's just something common people do. Maybe they're saying he's gonna, he'll be burning in hell, or. But yeah, I mean that's very strange. Fluorifiers happened not very in November of 2016. Thank you, Julia. When is your next call in? I've got some stuffs. I'm thinking about doing a call in tomorrow or maybe Friday, but it'll be in the evening. Thank you, Sidebar. Thank you, Knockface. Shout out to Miss Dog Lover, Julia Burns, Sidebar, and Knockface for sponsoring today's live stream. Thank you, guys. Okay, let's look at some of my Bridge Guy image analyses from like 2019. They're not very good. I mean, they're good, but they're not as good as they are now. It's a good shot of the hat, the shadow. Then a pretty good one of a face here. Good to see you, Mary. Frank says, Nick filed a response to the Frank's motion. Good. Miss Thang, good to see you. This one seems to have picked up some kind of a patch on the right arm. Like a patch and maybe like a tag here. Oh, you're going up to Delphi? Nice, Don. Maybe we'll do a live stream and you can give me a call. Yep. I've thought about that a few times, Anna. Like, you think you've outsmarted me? Wait and see. Like, how dare you mess with me? Maybe even threaten to show his wife. Like, I'm going to show your wife this. Hey, what's up, She Warrior? Yeah, I just feel like that might be the motivation. Something's going on here. There might be a phone that we don't know about, some kind of weird relationship going on that shouldn't be. I feel like the girls were silenced for something. Either they challenged the wrong people or they threatened to tell on somebody. See, this one you can kind of see the sunglasses on his hat really good. I don't know if Richard Allen owned a pair of white sunglasses. That's what that looks like to me. And then we got Blaze Jones. You guys might have heard this for the first time on the Delphi Lost documentary, or the Lost Delphi documentary. Can't remember the title of it, but it was put out by Fig Solves, and Hannah Shakespeare is the one who created it. It was put out on Fig's channel. Now, this is kind of an example of how somebody who was a felon, who was an older person, who was able to make contact with Libby. So you can see here they're just having a regular conversation between teenagers. These are all of her friends. And then here we have this guy named Blaze Jones. A little puppy dog. So that's very strange. Oh, I know what this is. Bobby Camworth. I don't know if you guys have ever seen those videos. Very strange. Not quite sure what to make of that. Some screenshots. Carol is asking, Bobby, is Eric Alter your friend from Michigan? Says, Eric and me go way back. He's great at shooting pool. And this is another interesting thing. Somebody puts here, that is terrible. No child should have to go through that. I had a very mean mother as well. She would lock me in a closet. She would hold my head under scalding hot water at times. Jesus. Those are just a couple of things that she did to me that was horrendous. There are other things that were much, much, much worse that she did to me. It was so bad that I've got PTSD. Bobby, please help me understand a little bit more of why or how you know the bridge guy. Is he perhaps related to Libby, but not by blood? What I'm trying to say is, did he help raise her by being a parental guardian? Bobby Camworth's answer is, I think he's a bastard, though. And I believe that is true, right? Isn't that somebody who is fatherless? Or is it that their father has passed away? And I believe that had happened. But he was also, I don't think his father was in his life much. When it comes to Richard Allen. So, some more strangeness surrounding the Delphi murders case. Levi says, I've always thought that something happened and the news was about to get out about the relationship. The one Emily account, I thought it was Richard Allen using it to message back and forth. Well, we know Kagan Klein admitted to being the Emily Ann. Doesn't mean it's true, though, right? But I think law enforcement is convinced that he is the Emily Ann. But it is strange that Richard Allen's daughter's middle name is Ann. But I also know that Keegan Klein's niece, her name was Emily Ann, or his little cousin. And that's very gross. Miss thing. Anna says, I've wondered if the original motive was to force the victims to undress so pictures could be taken. Yeah, if you use a lot of what's going on with Keegan Klein and Anthony Schatz and the thought of the girls being lured there, that fits perfectly. In Keegan's transcript, it says, oh, those aren't nude photos. What are you even good for? So to me, it sounds like they may have sent them money. Like the girls tricked them into giving them money. Like, here, just Apple me the money or Cash App me the money or send me $50 here and I'll send you the photos. So you got the Anthony Schatz money going to the girls. I don't know if that's photos or actual physical money being transferred. Because shortly after, you have the girls apparently sending fake photos. That could very well have pissed these people off. They could have been up all night on a binger. We know the girls were up late. And we know the killer, if it's associated with the Canal Street address, was up early by 8 a.m., logging in and logging out on two separate phones to the Anthony Schatz account. Now, if you're logging in, logging out to separate devices, maybe that's the device they found in the Wabash River that made its way to Delphi that day. I don't know. What's up, Courtney? Shout out to Indiana. Okay, let's talk about Eric Williams and the strange shacks or wooden structures 400 yards from the crime scene, apparently. Yeah, 100%, Keith. Keith says, I have a screenshot I have to find from years ago. and I'm sure I have it too. I know what you're referring to. It does say that it doesn't say that the bridge guy is no longer a suspect, but it says that the older sketch, which is obviously looks like the bridge guy, and they say that he is no longer a suspect. They put it on a police bulletin, I think, just a few days before they did the new direction presser. So a lot of information about this weird little hut, animal bones, and people practicing what I think this person was referring to, like black magic or something. So this is an old photo I found of Eric Williams, and I think he might even be part of the Oddfellows. I think that's what he was doing in the cemetery, was working on their behalf. But Eric basically stated that while he was out there searching, he could see a lot of animal bones, skulls that have been placed in between trees, things like that. And apparently, this is photos of that area. So you got bones hanging by ropes. To me, this looks like kids. Like we used to do stuff like this when I was a little kid. We'd even make little underground forts, tree houses. We did more of this kind of stuff when we were out camping. Courtney says, yes, Carroll County has always had the case. That's what I thought. I think ISP is just happy to help. Some more examples. This has nothing to do with Delphi. Just crime scenes that they said were ritual. I think this one was like voodoo or witchcraft or something.
It's kind of a mess. But we
And these are just some
put it
random
up between
kids.
this Y, so now we have two support sticks, and it's connected through to right there. So slowly working in progress. It's around 12 o'clock now. We're going to be out here till 5. We have a really good fire going now. It was hard to get it started.
Oh my God, it's a cult. These are a bunch of teenagers. They're like 16 years old. They built something very similar. Just saying.
What we have so far. We are inside.
Basically inside.
Yeah, this is pretty much inside. And there's a lot of holes and gaps, but we plan to fix those. I'll go out here. Those birds are making noises. Okay, so here's the outside.
So just some kids, and it looks very similar. What's up, Goat Dog? There was somebody that was a neighbor to Richard Allen, and he had nothing but nice things to say. Even though he says he hasn't spoken to him in a long time, he said he would, if there was any problems, he would send his kids over there. Yeah, sextortion is what it's called. What's up, Bogey? All right, let's move over to Brad Heath. Now, Brad Heath came forward with information about a separate vehicle, something you would see, on a Saturday morning going fishing. An older model car. To me, that description kind of matches up with the comment. But this was put out by NBC. Brad Heath puts a flyer in the Delphi double murder suspects and all of his eBay packages that are sent across the country, complete with QR codes that show the video and audio of the man. And remember this. And there's something strange, too, about the crime scene. Maybe it is ritualistic, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's not Odinites or Odinism. Maybe it's something to do with like a Jewish ritual or a Wiccan ritual. We've been covering the April 8th eclipse that's coming, and there's a lot of talk of the red heifer and all this stuff. Well, there's also some ritual that takes place where they use sticks. They cross sticks that make an X, and that'll mark the spot. And then they'll use another symbol that's supposed to be like two ox with a yoke over the back. So it would make like an N shape. That's kind of similar to the crime scene. You have the sticks that are crossing, marking the spot, and then you have kind of an N shape. And here he's blowing a shofar, which is used in the Jewish religion. And I believe he was working for Reliable Exterminators at the time.
Police are hoping those three words will trigger the
Crying for Brad because he was working near the trail the day the girls died.
Police are hoping those three words will trigger the trip needed to find whoever murdered Abby Williams and Libby German. And tips have been flooding in over the last 24 hours.
In fact, those calls will now be handled by the FBI in Washington, D.C. They'll be listening for anything
Good to see you,
that could
Bogey.
lead them to the killer. We've got David McAnally live for us in Delphi tonight at 5:30 with how else the investigation is changing over the last 24 hours. David?
Scott, we're seeing bigger tips. We're seeing more tips coming in, bigger reward fund in place, and also a trumpet call for prayer.
Yeah, very strange.
Brad Heath brought all his breath to this bridge, sounding a sacred horn for prayer and healing in Delphi, while downtown at police headquarters, first images of the special call center where operators field tips around the clock. Almost 4,000 phone and emails so far, some generated by the suspect's photo released last week. But half the tips came in just the last 24 hours, since police released the Down the Hill audio. Audio of the suspect, police say, recorded by victim Libby German on her cell phone. Last night, folks from Delphi and around the area met in song and prayer and unity at the courthouse to remember Libby and her friend Abby Williams. Thanks to local donors, including folks like these, a bank, local businesses, the FBI, and more, State police say the reward is now $50,000. And nationwide, the FBI has posted messages.
You know what? I've never gone through this crowd. It kind of looks like Kathy, huh?
Brad Heath blows the sacred shofar.
Specific directions from the Lord to come and pray over this bridge today. Well, the Bible says in Nehemiah, when you hear the sound of the trumpet, the Lord begins to fight for his people, and the people of Delphi need the Lord
Hey, Jody.
to fight for us in this.
That was B. Phillips.
This trying time.
Tonight on the Night Beat, we talk more with Brad about something else that drew him out to that bridge, something that happened to him on the day that those girls disappeared. Also, we just talked to Tony Slocum with Indiana State Police, Public Information Officer, asked him why move the call center to Washington.
I don't know about
Basically, it boils
interrogated.
down to that kind of work is done all the time at that center. And while it was done very well and very smoothly here, they are set up to handle those kinds of things. But if you're calling in, you'll use the same number, same contacts, all of that, and you'll be dealt with in the same way. There might be a little bit of...
Yeah, Sarah, I wonder where I heard that. Maybe I read it somewhere. All right, we are running out of time here. Let me see where we can finish up at. Maybe we'll just hang out in the chat for a little bit. We'll make this a part 1. And we'll do a part 2 tomorrow. And we'll get through all of this stuff. We didn't even get through half. Welcome in, Dawn. Yeah, it looks like they did take boots out of there and a few other items. There was a few people who were interviewed that worked at Packers. It's a huge plant. We know Garrett Kurtz worked there. JP's father-in-law that he tipped in worked at Packers. Thank you, Beth. I appreciate you guys. Anna, welcome. Logan seems to be an innocent old man. Well, I don't know if he's innocent. The thing is, the case really isn't closed yet. So it's not like you can clear anybody. But to say that they're a suspect, right, that's different. This account is asking, who is Brad Heath? Well, Brad Heath is somebody that was working in the area right around the time the girls were kidnapped and murdered. And he turned in some information. Later on, we found out that he actually saw an old vehicle and turned it in and was a little upset by the fact that it wasn't mentioned in the probable cause affidavit or mentioned during the new direction presser. Anna says, let's please not bring Judaism into it. What are you talking about? Don't get weird in my channel, please. If you're blowing a shofar, that's Judaism. So you can go tell Brad not to bring it into it by blowing the shofar. You weirdo. Yeah, Anna. Hey, True Crime Web. What's up, Steve? Back in my patrol days, responded to a call regarding strange tree symbols in the woods. Found 10 or so Blair Witch type symbols hanging in trees. It does make you vigilant. Yeah, and you never know. People can just randomly say, "Hey, we're starting a cult." It could be 5 friends who are into some creepy shit, and by sitting in that echo chamber over and over and over, they just gradually get worse and worse and worse, validating each bad habit after the other until they're killing animals and doing black magic ceremonies, and there's nobody there to correct them if it's all done in secret. It may not be statistically normal, and it may be an anomaly, but it does happen. Tom Jones says, anyone else here ever drag a dead deer through the Indiana woods? It takes 2 people for even a small doe. No. Good to see you, Beach Fairy. That is just a rumor I've heard, and if anybody knows where that comes from, the source, I'm interested. Hey, Mel from Cold Truth, another great channel. Good to see you. You mean PB? Brad Holder didn't live in Delphi at the time. He was talking, I believe, about PB. What is up, Steve? All right, we'll take a few more, and then we got to go. Let's go to this account. This account says, I saw they granted Richard Allen mental health records. That most of us saw that coming. Well, they were trying to hold that back because that's where another confession is. And they were saying it was a HIPAA violation to provide that. But whenever you have something dealing with kids and the murder of kids, it doesn't fall under that. So I think you guys are going to hear a lot more about. So you have 5 or 6 confessions to his mother and his wife, but he has a whole another set of confessions that are more detailed and include more information about the motive, at least what he wants you to think is the motive. But it's my understanding he stated it was sexually motivated, and he killed the girls so that they wouldn't tell on him. Hey, good to see you, Jill. Garrett Kurtz was my POI for a long time back in the first few years. Well, his connection to that area, his connection to the bridge, and we now know he's basically a serial killer. I mean, that's what he is. Thank you. Thank you, Jody. Good to see you. No FX. I remember the Packer plant and Subaru JP. Whatever happened to that guy? Well, he's in jail right now. I think his wife gave him a restraining order, and I think he broke into the home or something and violated all of that. So he shouldn't be in there very long. He might be serving maybe 3 or 4 months or something. But yeah, he was vetted by law enforcement. V says Garrett Kurtz also didn't show up to work on the 13th at Packers. Yeah, and it was like right around his birthday too. And he told Open Secrets that he was so high that he doesn't remember. All he knows is that he was trying to get to work. So maybe somehow he made his way to Ron Logan's and was trying to get to work that way. Oh, that's interesting, Beach. Thank you. No worries, Anna. No worries. Yeah, this isn't the place to be sensitive. You can be sensitive, but you're going to get called out on it. Well, you're in the right place then. This account. Who is PB? PB is Ron Logan's neighbor. Not direct neighbor. He's kind of around the bend, but their properties are so large, they're basically neighbors. Property wise, not home wise. Yeah, Jesse, exactly. So this will definitely be excluded. It's like telling your therapist that you're a serial killer. They're going to call the cops on you immediately. Beach Ferry, there may be a small one. I'll let you know. Yeah, sure. If you ask the questions, we'll try to answer the best we can. Thank you, Beach Ferry. All right, guys, that is going to do it. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for watching the Sleuth Intuition channel. If you are part of the replay crew, you know what to do. Drop a comment and let me know what you think. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay in the loop. Sleuth Intuition is 100% crowdfunded. If you want to support me and help my channel grow, here are 3 ways that you can help. Number 1, Cash App. The funds go directly to me without YouTube taking a percentage. Number 2, become a member. Members are by far the leading contributors to my channel. Number 3, hit up the merch shop. Represent the Sleuth crew on these ruthless streets. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to the Sleuth Intuition channel. I'm your host, Patrick Vallejos. Until next time, peace.